Alright, well, we have turn 2 Lotus Cobra, which probably ought to be good. And, like, we can theoretically play In Search of Greatness after that. Maybe that's what we want to do. I could also commune with spirits on turn 3. Finding the Old Gods tempting? I think I'm still supposed to put this on green. Maybe I'm supposed to put it on black, hope my Lotus Cobra survives, commune with spirits for a land drop, and then get the double green off of the Lotus Cobra trigger to play In Search of Greatness. Okay, found a Commune. That's something. Land. Yes, success. Okay, so there's not a lot of benefit in playing In Search of Greatness here, which means I think I'm supposed to play Professor of Symbology, which I could get Highland Forest here. Do I want to, or do I just want to grab a black source off Darkbore Pathway? Oh, I need to get a black source because I don't actually have swamps in the deck that I can fetch with environmental summonings off of Professor of Symbology. So having the black source is more important so that on the off chance that I do lose my Lotus Cobra and don't draw a land here, I can still fix for Binding of the Old Gods with the environmental sciences. I did use my wildcards for In Search of Greatness, unfortunately. That is now the world we live in. Interesting. Okay. So the opponent leaving up blue mana, that certainly scares me. Alright, let's Binding. This almost sets us up to Commune next turn if we find a land drop. They divide by 0 their own creature instead of the Binding. I'll take it. They get more environmental sciences. Retrieve socks. How do you lean the night? Alright, we'll go do that when I think that I've got enough. We might actually do that after this game, because I'm not going to be sideboarding, am I? Reckoner Bankbuster. Alright, so opponent is on Extreme Dirtle, which I like, because I think we can certainly out-dirtle them. Let's see. So if I have Environmental Sciences, I get a land drop. So Environmental Sciences is actually free, because a land drop makes 2 mana here. We're going to get a forest. We're going to play the forest. We make a white source. We play Restoration of Eiganjo. We get a plains. I don't think there's a lot of benefit in playing In Search of Greatness now, so I think we just play Professor of Symbology again. We're kind of past the point where In Search of Greatness would be decent on curve. But we can get Teachings of the Archaic here, because we have a blue source. I could get rid of my Lotus Cobra. You know, I think it's actually fine to get rid of the Lotus Cobra here, because I can just discard the plains to Restoration of Eiganjo. Or no, I can discard the In Search of Greatness to Restoration of Eiganjo to get back the Lotus Cobra, then play the plains, make red mana with that, and Commune or something. And then, like, you know, hope they don't divide by 0 me. Or commune with spirits. Alright, I'll take it. Okay, Search of Greatness. We get back a Lotus Cobra. Play a plains. Make a red source. Play Commune. Hope the opponent doesn't have divide by 0. Except that if the opponent does... Oh, hard counterspell. Harsh. Oh, hey, cool. Spirit Sister's Call. That's more copies of Commune. I'll take it. Alright, let's see about going and retrieving socks. I get the feeling Socks might not be staying around for very long today. He is already at the point where he is running away. I confess that forcing the opponent to have a board wipe here might be a better idea than just jamming Kami War off of Spirit Sister's Call. Is that accurate? Because the alternative is I could play Restoration of Eiganjo and then draw 3 cards with Teachings of the Archaic. That's, like, pretty cool, I guess. Oh, I could also play Restoration of Eiganjo, then play Spirit Sister's Call. That's actually probably for the best. I could get Jwari Disrupted. No, I can't, because Lotus Cobra makes mana. Beautiful. I'm assuming they have to counterspell this? They don't. Okay. Bounce it? Despark. Okay, well, that means not desparking something else, I suppose. Opponent gains a life. And some lands. Sure. So, you gotta have interaction or a board wipe, opponent. No? Okay. Do I want to discard a card to get back a 2-drop? No, I think I'm good. Alright, what are you gonna do if I Teachings, opponent? Cast a removal spell. Sure. What else? Cast a Divide by 0. Okay. That doesn't actually stop Teachings from working unless they can do something else. Which they can't. Okay. So we have Spirit Sister's Call, can get back a Kami War. If I play Lotus Cobra, I can only play a 5-drop, so that's not an option. So we're going to put the opponent to 2, and then Spirit Sister's Call, and not play this land drop, because that lets us hardcast Kami War next turn with Lotus Cobra. And then we're going to get rid of Restoration of Eiganjo, so that we still have the Spirit Sister's Call, which means that if the opponent counters this other Kami War, we can get it back with Spirit Sister's Call still. Doomscar destroys creatures. Okay. Then we'll bounce the Celestis and make him discard a card. Cool. So don't have to worry about any counter spells here. Can I play both Lotus Cobras here? I believe so. Yes, the mana does work out for that. So we're going to make red mana and blue mana and play Kami War and exile Bankbuster. This is kind of like getting to play Lando, isn't it? Ooh, and you know what? Let's get back Professor of Symbology, sacking a Lotus Cobra, so that we can go get Teachings of the Archaic. Are you unusually tasty for a human? Because Sox is really enthusiastic about licking your hand. My understanding is that pets lick you because they are trying to get salt. Or at least I know that that's the case for horses. So I'm assuming I'm just a very salty individual. Let's see. Let's get some red mana going. Oh, I guess that doesn't actually matter, does it? Because I'm not going to have blue mana to cast a Kami War if we top deck it. Ooh, Rampage of the Valkyries is fun, though. Let's see. So the opponent's going to have to trade off with both of these tokens. I don't have any way to sacrifice a 4/4 here, so we're not going to bother. I think clearing their board is for the best. Let's see, what could we get back? We could get back a Restoration of Eiganjo. We don't have any planes left to get, though. So I assume I'm just supposed to get Professor of Symbology, which involves sacking a angel. Do I want to do that? Probably. Still lethal either way. Oh, I guess having 2 flyer. Well, they have to answer a Kagachi. It's got trample. So let's just, like, I don't know. Mascot Exhibition? More threats? Why not? Yeah, Farewell is a problem. That's true. That's true. That kind of just stone hard answers this entire deck, doesn't it? But I guess Mascot Exhibition is probably the best thing we could have fetched there to play around Farewell. Howdy, Flying. It's going good. Oh, lots of removal spells. Alright. Opponent's sticking in there. Oh, no they're not. So fun little side note here that is a cute little synergy. Spirit Sister's Call makes it so that if the permanent it brings back would leave the battlefield, it gets exiled instead. But with the sagas that exile and then come back, that replacement effect doesn't actually do anything because it's going to exile anyway and coming back anyway. So when I brought back that Commune War with Spirit Sister's Call, and then they removed it, it went back to the graveyard again, which meant I was just going to get to sacrifice Rampage of the Valkyrie to bring back the 3rd Commune War of the game. Yeah, that's basically what this deck does. That's fun. Alright, well, we have Lotus Cobra into Binding of the Old Gods, and that is a plan. Alright, opponent's gonna be aggressive. Okay. I mean, Professor of Symbology actually is pretty strong against this kind of strategy. It's sort of tempting to take Highland Forest, but Spirited Companion also trades exceptionally well with Usher of the Fallen. I'm probably just supposed to take good trades. No, Spirited Companion doesn't trade very well with Usher of the Fallen if it's actually a 3-2. But we do get to still play Professor of Symbology. Ooh. Okay, well that's interesting. In that case... Oh, if I play this on white and play Professor of Symbology, then I'm a little at risk of if Lotus Cobra dies. But I actually need to play a blocker, so I don't really have a choice. I have to play the Professor of Symbology here. And then we get to get Pest Summoning, which ought to be pretty decent against mono white. When can I see you play Show of Confidence? I don't know. Creature combo decks like that aren't necessarily the sort of thing I end up playing too often. Alright, just willing to make this block. But I don't really have an objection to it necessarily. I guess I might end up doing that after the set championship. Okay, so I don't have any 3-mana permanents, so we're not going to jam in Search of Greatness here. I think we're just going to play our Spirited Companion, draw our card, be accepting. What if we played our 5-color enchantment in a deck with the 4-white sorcery that brings enchantment back? A tempting idea. I think our opponent's missing land drops now, and we're just going to play Binding of the Old Gods on Luminarch Aspirant, and they're going to concede. Maybe not. Okay, yes. Just took a couple more seconds than I was expecting. Alright, well, this is reasonable-ish. Not playing Commune with Spirits on turn 1 is a little awkward, but I suppose we can probably make do. Better lead off with Overgrown Farmland. Technically, I have 2-mana white creatures that I could theoretically want to play. Alright, Lotus Cobra. So we get to play a land drop, Commune with Spirits, and Restoration of Eiganjo, as long as our Lotus Cobra isn't dead. No, opponent's making our spells cost more. Ooh, careful with the tail, kitty cat. Okay, so let's lead on Commune with Spirits. Rampage of the Valkyries seems kind of useful here. And if I'm being honest, lands sound totally useless. Alright, well, so we get to play Restoration. Interesting that Eberhardt doesn't tax us for cards that we put into our hand this turn with cards like Commune with Spirits. It's only specifically cards we drew. Come on, Faces Kakazan. Okay. Allenbalk Escort. Okay. I believe I'm okay trading off Lotus Cobra here, because I'm going to get it back with the Restoration of Eiganjo this turn anyway. Oh yeah, this works just fine, doesn't it? We get to play our Black Source, and we actually get to play... would we rather play Rampage of the Valkyries or Binding of the Old Gods? I mean, having a 4/4 here is pretty exciting. I assume I'm actually supposed to save the Binding of the Old Gods to kill whatever they put a counter on with Kumano Faces Kakazan. Maybe killing Captain Eberhard is important, but hard to say. Is it crazy to like Sky Turtle in this list? I don't think it's crazy. I sort of suspect that you're not going to get a ton of use out of it. Yeah, it's big Thundering Raiju. Gets to attack. Save something with Allenbach Escort. I'm willing to trade this off here, because... Oh. Well, yeah, it's going to kill the Allenbach Escort no matter what, so, like, we're clearing the board by sacking that Angel. Ooh, Commune. Interesting. So I really want to Binding this Captain Eberhard, but I'm a little scared of what happens if I miss this land drop. I mean, my board state's kind of fine. If I whiff on hitting the land drop with Commune with Spirits, which gives me the Binding of the Old Gods anyway, then... Okay, we do not. Then, like, I could still play Restoration of Eiganjo, which would still be fine, but... Yeah, now, as long as Lotus Cobra is still in play, we get to Kami War next turn, because we fix our red mana off the Binding of the Old Gods land drop. Captain Eberhard goes away. Lotus Cobra we don't want to block with, so we might as well attack. Patty Meandine. Alright, we have an Architect of Restoration opponent. What you gonna do about it? Swing with the 3/4, huh? Okay. Yeah, I'm interested in making this chump block. My life total seems valuable to me, given that, like, card advantage isn't important. Highland Forest, make a red mana with the Lotus Cobra, play Kami War, exile Thundering Raiju, leave behind blockers. Yeah, this is definitely a board state, isn't it, opponent? So we get to fire up the Cave of the Frost Dragon. That might actually be tough for me to handle. I no longer need Lotus Cobras, so that trade is fine. Unfortunately, that gets exiled. More Lotus Cobras. Okay, so this is where things get fun. Did you know that if I return my permanent to my hand, like, I don't know, this Rampage of the Valkyrie that makes a 4/4, they have to discard the card? Because that's fun. Anyway, I'm going to make a 4/4 now. This deck has so many just random cool synergies that pop up. Yeah, and then we're going to flip and make a flying 6/6, because that's cool too. Yep, and then the opponent concedes. Ah, the value is delightful, isn't it? Don't really think we can keep this hand. Doesn't really do enough. Okay, this is better. Once again, In Search of Greatness, kind of rough if we don't have 2 or 3 drops. Or, well, 3 or 4 drops. I'm still not exactly sure how I'm supposed to ever play In Search of Greatness, if I'm being entirely honest. We're still kind of trying to figure that one out. And we have Lotus Cobra and Kami War. That's a game plan. Opponent has Wolves. Okay. I don't really want to trade Lotus Cobra off with Kessig Naturalist. So So I think I'm just supposed to play Professor of Symbology here. And then probably, I mean, like, Pest Summoning isn't actually good against Gruul. Mascot Exhibition sort of is, but I feel like if I'm going to get up to 7 mana, at that point I'm casting Kami War anyway. So next turn we're playing Lotus Cobra and 2 Commune with Spirits. Pack Song Pup. Okay, so Dedicated Wolves. More Kami Wars. Kind of tempting, but we're definitely going to need a lot of time to get there. Alright, let's take a land. And Binding of the Old Gods is excellent, because that's actually something on curve. No need for attacks. Okay. Good hits off the Commune with Spirits. So now we get to Binding next turn, regardless of whether they kill our Lotus Cobra or not. Alena. Pretty concerning. Kessig Naturalist gets pumped. So they attack here, make an extra mana. I'm sort of incentivized to trade off, which isn't exciting. So letting them keep the Kessig Naturalist is a little scary. I'm definitely going to Binding of the Old Gods the Helena and Alena here. The concern is that without Lotus Cobra, I'm not really casting these Kami Wars, and I think I need to do that to win the game. I don't technically need to block yet. I could block on a different turn. Alright, let's block on a different turn. If they play another Helena and Alena next turn, then... Interesting. Can I... Yes, I can actually play you. Oh, that actually gives me Kami War next turn. Cool. If they play another Helena and Alena here, then I can chump block with Professor of Symbology at that point and prevent more than just 4 damage. Alright. Come on, opponent, just play like Helena and Alena. And then I get to Kami War it and just chump block. Don't interact with my board. Don't play a Shatter Skull Smashing, killing my Lotus Cobras. Tovolar, cool. I super don't care about that. Radical. Okay. Alright, now I will chump block. Because it prevents drawing a card. Which could definitely be meaningful when my opponent is presumably trying to top deck lands to play another spell post-combat. No, they just played the build-up. Okay. Land drops, sure. Ooh, that land's actually pretty good. That gives us Pest Summoning, right? Alright, get blue mana and red mana and play Kami War. And exile Tovolar, I think. And then play the Branchloft Pathway. This doesn't let us play the Kami War next turn, which holding the Branchloft Pathway would guarantee. But I feel like it's pretty important to have the additional chump blockers here. Buy time for Kami War to flip into a 6/6 that just blocks our opponent's stuff. Ranger class, okay. Nothing has trample though. Kinda tempted to double block Kessig Naturalist here. Playing another Kami War if I top deck a land is a huge get, though. But taking 4 extra damage is rough. I think I kind of need to be able to play the Kami War. Packsong Pup gives something trample, but not yet. Land drop. Alright. What do we most want to reset here? The creature with the most counters on it? Whatever they play next after this bounce comes down and has trample. So it's sort of tempting to just bounce the wolf. I think I'm supposed to bounce the wolf token, because then they end up discarding their last card in hand anyway, and don't get to replay a creature immediately with trample. Alright, so now we play Kami War. Probably supposed to get rid of Pack Song Pup, because it's the thing that can get bigger than these Okachis. Or Okagachi. No! Val the Larcenist is an extremely good top deck opponent. That's extremely rude. Yeah, Wraths do still feel like they'd be kind of helpful. I agree with that. I mean, if we wanted to be realistic about the deck, there's a pretty good chance that the best thing we could do is just cut In Search of Greatness and play Wraths instead. Okay, well, this works. World Tree plus Kami War is technically a combo. Maybe the black-green right is good enough? No, I think that we would definitely want Divine Purge to be a board wipe if we were going to play on this deck, because we actually do have a lot of ETB 2-drops that are cool to replay with it. But we don't want to blow up all of our own Lotus Cobras and Professor of Symbologies if we don't have to, or at least not in a way that's like actively detrimental. With the black-green right, I think that's the case. Yeah, I think we can just go ahead and play Lotus Cobra here. How about the black cleave one? That still blows up all of our own 2-drops, though, which is pretty tough. And double black is really hard. Plus, Divine Purge hits bigger creatures. I feel like hitting 3-drops is probably important. Or at least definitely useful. Okay, so I think we get to play Restoration of Eiganjo here. And probably Commune with Spirits is the best we can do. Trying to make a land drop. If I take Deathcap Glade, if my opponent doesn't interact with Lotus Cobra, can I Kami War next turn? Yes, I can. This actually gives me turn 4 Kami War. Cool. Gives me turn 4 Kami War in a couple of ways, actually. I could just Spirit Sisters call back the Kami War by sacrificing Restoration of Eiganjo, or I can just put a land into play and hardcast Kami War. Now, opponent, you should play something that I can exile with Kami War. Don't just pass. That doesn't technically count, unfortunately. It's quite rude. Alright, well, in the interest of... I guess actually ramping our lands here is the best thing we can do. Because we are still going to get to play a turn 5 Kami War thanks to the World Tree. Can't fix for blue yet, so the Teachings of the Archaic are a little sketchy to go snag. I suppose I'm probably just supposed to get Environmental Sciences here, but maybe it's supposed to be Mascot Exhibition. You know what, let's grab Mascot Exhibition. Spirit Sister's Call can actually loop back Professor of Symbology with the tokens off of Mascot Exhibition, which is pretty fun. Showed none of the Skulls. Okay. Oh, it's the Rune deck. Oh, sure. This really freezes out the game every single time, huh? Okay, all of our lands can cast anything. Kami War, I don't want my opponent's stuff getting bigger, so we're going to exile Showdown of the Scalds. Swing with Professor of Symbology. Alright, I feel like we are somehow actually favored against the Runes deck, mostly because they didn't do anything on the first 2 turns. No, Disenchant lesson in the sideboard, but 2-card draw lesson. Yeah, I have actually gotten into a lot of games where I have fetched 2 copies of the Teachings of the Archaic and cast both of them. If I was going to cut a card from the sideboard, Mascot Exhibition number 2 is actually the one I've played less often, weirdly enough. Can you use the Saga Egg to cheat out Commune War? No, what's the name of that thing? The Dragon Egg enchantment is specifically that it puts creatures into play. Spirit Sister's Call is not terribly ideal, but oh, you know what's going to happen? My opponent's going to block this Professor of Symbology with their Generous Visitor, and I'm going to get to sack the 1/1 token that the Architect Restoration makes to get back the Professor of Symbology. So, like, that's going to be cool. Yeah, that's probably better to develop than playing out the Professor of Symbology. I assume I'm supposed to have Reduced to Memory on the off chance that they, like, touch the Spirit Realm, my 6/6 at some point. Wouldn't bouncing the Visitor be better than bouncing the Kami? I don't know if, like, making them lose the rune matters to me a ton. Maybe? But I also feel like the Kami of Transience costs more mana than the Generous Visitor, so, like, restricting how much mana they have to work with on the next turn is relevant. Because, like, they're not actually a deck that cares about the number of enchantments they have in play. All of their triggers about their enchantments that are relevant are cast triggers anyway. Yeah. Oh, they should have put a counter on Generous Visitor, I think. Oh, they would have needed to put 2 counters on it. Alright. Well, we get to Reduce to Memory that. Probably kind of mandatory that I Reduce to Memory that, as it happens. Otherwise, it is just much too big. No trample for the opponent if we can help it. Am I supposed to get more Mascot Exhibitions or Teachings of the Archaic here? Nothing to get back with Spirit Sister's Call. I could swing with Professor of Symbology, but I doubt that I'm supposed to. I think I'm just going to take Environmental Sciences. I think the best use of this turn is gaining 2 life. I sort of suspect that I'm going to be able to loop Professor of Symbologies in the long run, so just using my mana efficiently is more important. Hallowed Haunting cares about the number of enchantments in the field, yeah, but that's becoming less common, in my opinion. And, like, it takes a number of turns for that to actually matter, whereas the, whatever its name is, the Kami of Transience being bigger and having trample and costing more mana was going to matter immediately. White mana. Okay, you're going to exile my Okagachi opponent? Well, unfortunately, I did just use my Disenchant, regrettably. Otherwise, I could start rebuying ETBs immediately. Okay, opponent, I don't think you want to make that attack, but I will 1,000,000% make this block. Okay, I'm going to make a bunch of creatures, and then get back Professor of Symbology again. And go get more creatures. This is where having another Disenchant would be nice, but oh well. You know, I gotta confess, I think we actually discard a Spirit Sister's Call to the Professor of Symbology to draw a card. I don't think grabbing Teachings of the Archaic is correct here. Well, that might be less true next turn. So let's just play more Mascot Exhibitions and start getting in. This is a strange way for this game to go, huh? Yeah, I don't want to sack Spirit Sister's Call here, because unfortunately none of our creatures currently are tokens. Rune of Sustenance, Kami grows, the Kami gains lifelink, opponent draws a card. Which one of these? Okay. Professor of Symbology. So I can swing with this Professor of Symbology to get it back. Okay, so we play our land, play Professor of Symbology. Go and grab a Teachings of the Archaic. Play the Teachings of the Archaic. Grab 2 lands. That's pretty bad. Okay, swing in the air. I want to kill this Professor of Symbology, but I'm not going to be able to empty my hand very soon. So I don't think I'd bother killing it if I don't have to. Still don't get anything back. The Spirit Sister's Call. Runes is also basically a standard deck, but it just so happens to be one of the strongest decks in Alchemy regardless of that. Like, Alchemy isn't a stronger format than Standard. So a lot of Standard decks that are legal, basically, if every card in a Standard deck is legal, it's probably still a really good deck in Alchemy. You know, legal and unnerfed, I suppose. Alright, play more lands. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I am supposed to attack with these Professor of Symbologies. I forgot about the part where I can just loot with them. Oh, I only needed to swing with 1, not 2. Okay. Slight mistake. Alright, Professor of Symbology. Sacking Professor of Symbology. Because I could sack the other Professor of Symbology to get the first Professor back, which still put it in the graveyard. Commune with Spirits. It's starting to make it pretty likely they find... Oh, no. It's just to touch the Spirit Realm. Okay, I can live with that. If they whiff on finding Showdown of the Skulls, we are more than happy. Opponent's Kami of Transience, pretty big. Get rid of a 4/4. Okay. Well, alright. What's your plan for that, opponent? You got the instant speed indestructible? No. Okay. We're just anticipating getting the thing back when one of your enchantments dies for some reason? Wait, why? What went to the graveyard? Oh, it had an aura on it, didn't it? Which immediately brings it back. Sure. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Anyway, we finally top-decked the card that wins the game, so we're going to exile this Touch the Spirit Realm. And then that's going to exile the Jukai Naturalist. And let's see. Play Spirit Sister's Call. I need 2 enchantments in the graveyard. I have 2 enchantments in the graveyard already. Perfect. Play a land drop, because why not? No attacks. We are safe to Dirtle now. Professor of Symbology. Professor of Symbology. Yeah, we'll get rid of this Professor of Symbology for the new Professor of Symbology. Tutor up Teachings of the Archaic to our hand. Kami of Transience. Showdown of the Skulls. Okay, opponent found a showdown. We have a real game. Opponent found another showdown. And runes are free. There you go. Oh, but they're 1 mana short, so they do need to hit an untapped land on this Showdown of the Skulls. They do. Wow, they are playing the full 4 Touch of the Spirit Realm? For real? That's kind of wild. Luckily, that doesn't do anything here. We get to wipe most of their board here. Okay, well. Sucks that they found a rune, but they are going to put a bunch of cards in hand, and then we get to draw cards off Teachings of the Archaic. Commune of Transient's probably not going to get big enough to kill us here. Next turn, that'd be a concern, though. It's hard for them to combo kill without the counters from Showdown of the Scalds or Generous Visitors. They would need to top deck, like, every single rune in a row, which just isn't terribly likely to happen, but could happen. Let's see. Could stack block with everything. Probably supposed to do that. Puts Commune of Transients back in their hand. I bounce a Spirit token, make them discard a card. They have 2 cards remaining. The 2 runes are gone. Rune of Speed specifically. Can you tutor from the graveyard? Yes, so I need to not bounce you. Okay, so stack block in here. Oh, it actually is important that I'm putting that card back in their hand. Because I'm going to make them... Oh, no, I'm only going to make them discard 1 card? Okay, so we bounce the Spirit. And I don't want to bounce the Runeforged Champion. And I don't want to bounce Touch the Spirit Realm. So the only thing I can bounce is Jukai Naturalist. They discard 1 card. They discard a 2nd card. Spirit Sister's Call is a pretty annoying draw, but what you gonna do? We draw cards. In Search of Greatnesses are completely useless draws. Well, not completely useless, I guess. This is one of the cool things about them, is that they're not dead late, because we can sack them to Spirit Sister's Call. Which means that currently I can get back Restoration of Eiganjo. That's the only thing I can actually do, huh? Okay. Well, In Search of Greatness... at the very minimum we get Scries out of it. Do I have any creatures I can get back? No. There's definitely a risk they could kill me here. But... oh wait, am I dead on board? I'm probably dead on board, aren't I? Yeah, I can't really do anything about that because I can't get a 2nd chump blocker here. Yeah, I'm just dead on board. So I actually had to have one of those draws be something reasonable. But unfortunately every single one was a whiff. Let's see. Restoration of Eiganjo. We're going to sack Kami War so that we can bring it back. So I could bounce the Kami War. The trouble with that is that I wouldn't have gotten any benefit of that. I still would have removed the same number of permanents by replaying the Kami War. Yeah, we are dead on board. As long as the opponent sees that they can remove our 3-2, unfortunately. The 4th Touch the Spirit Realm got us. Regrettably. Although, for what it's worth, this is another matchup where Divine Purge would be good. Exiling Runeforged Champion would be better than bouncing it, but in this case, them having any creature on board led us to be dead. Yeah, unfortunately, slightly too slow here. Didn't find the Spirit Wars early enough to start looping them. I mean, we found 1, but I guess they touched the Spirit Realmed it. So maybe that's an argument for playing more copies of, what's the name? Reduced to Memory in the sideboard. Had we had a second copy of Reduced to Memory to hit the Touch the Spirit Realms, it would have been just totally fine much earlier in the game there. And potentially not trading off my tokens as aggressively would have been successful too. Okay, here we get to probably not supposed to keep this hand because it's actually quite bad and has no fixing for Commune. But I'm going to keep it because it's got a pupper. But also, like, is completely off curve and bad. Maybe we try to replace Search with Kaya. I mean, I'm pretty convinced that if you wanted to make this deck better, you would just cut In Search of Greatness and play Divine Purge at this point, which maybe we'll give a test. Alright, let's be mana efficient, play Spirited Companion, draw a card, draw In Search of Greatness, which isn't good. When I was testing this deck originally off stream, I had like so many draws where In Search of Greatness randomly did amazing things by like putting Commune into play on my upkeep and then immediately having it go to the second trigger. But like, we've had 0 games where that is even remotely close to a factor so far. Yeah, opponent gets to make a treasure. Maybe she's sad, but immediately uses it for a card I don't care about, so I will consider that a win. Alright. Now we actually do get to do something sort of cool here with Restoration of Eiganjo, which is that In Search of Greatness is not a terrible card to put into play off of Restoration of Eiganjo, and then we immediately cast Binding of the Old Gods, which makes In Search of Greatness actually do something if we draw a 5-drop. Deadly Dispute. Okay, okay. Opponent making mana, drawing cards, doing things. You want to play a 4-drop opponent? Unequal to Anvil. I'd love to see it. You want to sack that treasure, opponent? No? You sure? Oh, I could get a Spirited Companion back. Is that actually better than In Search of Greatness? Probably yes, but we're going to have fun at some point. We get to play Binding, smack Onicult Anvil. Can they sack Onicult Anvil to itself? Yes. Alright, which they will probably do. We do lose a life. I am sad. Wow, Onicult Anvil gains a life too? What's the flavor behind that? Use the rare wildcards, might as well use them. Yeah. That is the kind of sunk cost fallacy that my life is about. That's true. Yeah, I don't really need a land that doesn't make blue or red. Restoration of Eiganjo, not super stellar, but okay. We get a Binding of the Old Gods, go get a blue source. Get Restoration of Eiganjo back. Sure. Cast Commune with Spirits. Spirit Sister's Call. Not immediately useful, but potentially very interesting with Spirited Companion. Alright, let's play the known information. Oh, Binding the Old Gods is going to go to the graveyard, and we can actually get that back with Spirit Sister's Call this turn. That's actually extremely good.
Dire times call for dire tactics.
Because that actually fixes the red mana for Kami. Oh, also, In Search of Greatness casts Kami War with Spirit Sister's Call. Sweet. Wait. We've actually got the whole combo. I get to discard Kami War to Restoration of Eiganjo, and then bring it back with Spirit Sister's Call by sacking In Search of Greatness, which means that I can't play Kami War with In Search of Greatness, but if we've got a 6-drop and play In Search of Greatness, doesn't do anything anyway. Wait, I get to... Oh, right, on upkeep. Sweet, I don't even have to spend mana. Radical. Okay, well, let's discard Professor of Wait, no. Let's discard Kami War. And then we get back our Spirited Companion, draw a card. Oh, we're just going off. We're just doing all of it. Okay, let's see. I would like to attack Sorin with my Architect of Restoration opponent. Would you like to double block? Works for me. Happy to make that trade. A lot of blood tokens for the opponent, which, you know, good for them. Let's snag Teachings of the Archaic, play our land drop, play Teachings, draw some cards, more Kami Wars, you love to see it. We're gonna get back a Kami War. Sacking something. Probably sacking Spirited Companion. I wouldn't mind getting Spirited Companion back next turn with Spirit Sister's Call. Yeah, that sounds correct. Alright, let's exile Sorin. Oh, this is a delightful amount of value. No, opponent, come back. I wanted to do more things.